Hiya! It's great that you want to join us on the 7th day of our motorbike tour through Scotland at the end of May 2025. We'll be riding the North Coast 500 from Ullapool to Dunnet. In addition to the great scenery, a visit to Smoo Cave is an absolute highlight of our stage. You can find the GPX tracks below in the description. Let's go! Our day's journey begins in Ullapool on the west coast of Scotland and takes us along the North Coast 500 to Dunnet, the northernmost point of mainland Britain. So, after a rather below average breakfast in Ullapool, we set off. We'd rather spare you the pictures of empty bread, baskets and cheap cheese. Instead, we were greeted by dry roads and have now reached Ardmair Bay on Loch Assynt in beautiful weather. The white houses we just passed are available to rent. Yes, this is exactly how you imagine the Scottish Highlands to be. Vast countryside and beautiful. Here we pass the Northwest Highlands Geopark. A geopark is an area with particularly significant geological sites and landscapes. This geopark is characterized by 3 billion-year-old rock and can be explored via a geotrail. We are about to pass a geopod on the left-hand side, which is an information station with information boards and QR codes. Click on the link in the top right-hand corner if you want to see more. The Knockengreig National Nature Reserve, through which we are now driving, is still part of the geopark. The area is a geological curiosity because two continents collided here, as evidenced by rocks of different ages. The route to Loch Assynt is also scenically appealing. Here we pass the very small village. No, only Scots can pronounce this name correctly. We won't embarrass ourselves now. Behind the village, whose name is not spoken, or cannot be spoken, we now come to Loch Assynt, a freshwater lake. The lake is surrounded by the typical, almost treeless landscape of the Northern Highlands. This barren environment gives the lake an austere beauty that clearly distinguishes it from the idyllic lochs in the south of Scotland. On the left we pass Kelderhouse, an unimpressive ruin with an interesting history. Once the family seat of the Mackenzies, the building fell to the Earl of Sutherland for financial reasons. Before he could move in, however, Kelderhouse was destroyed by fire in 1737. Rumor has it that it was set alight by locals who resented the Sutherland's new ownership. We then come to the ruins of Ardmair Castle, which are easy to overlook. Yet tragic stories surround these walls, like that of MacLeod's daughter. Her father Angus was the leader of the MacLeod's clan. At the end of the 15th century, a small island in Loch Assynt was chosen as the headquarters because of its location. In a castle, Ardmair Castle was built. It is said that the MacLeods made a pact with the devil. He himself would help build the castle, and in return he would receive one of the MacLeod's daughters as his wife. When the castle was finished, the devil demanded his bride, but she preferred to throw herself to her death from the battlements. The castle itself was struck by lightning in 1795 and collapsed. At low tide you can still visit the ruins on foot today. Oh, there's a diversion sign for motorhomes. That sounds great. And we're looking forward to the exciting route. As beautiful as this country is, there are several reasons why it is so deserted. One reason is the so-called highland clearances. This term refers to the expulsion of the local population in the Scottish Highlands in favor of the widespread introduction of sheep farming until the end of the 19th century. In contrast to rural exodus, the local landless small farmers and tenants, known as crofters, were legally evicted by the landowners. In some cases, the evicted people were forcibly taken by the military to emigrant ships and shipped to North America or Australia. Click on the top right if you want to find out more. Not only are the cars becoming more beautiful, but so is the landscape. The narrow road takes us through a wildly rugged landscape. We have the feeling that the wilderness begins immediately off the road. The weather here is often so bad that in the past women were forced to tie their children and livestock to rocks or pecks while they worked so that they would not be blown over the cliffs. Although the weather in Scotland is unpredictable in every season, this is especially true during the cold season from October to April. We can vividly imagine how difficult it must be to battle through the snow drifts in this area. Exciting, beautiful, but not for motorcyclists. In summer, you're more likely to be battling swarms of mosquitoes, but now in May, we are spared from these pests. After the small village of Clachtoll, we now come to Stur. The area on the right, surrounded by a wall, is the new cemetery, which stands somewhat isolated here next to the road. The quarry stone walls on the right mark the boundary of the old cemetery. A few meters further on, behind the white building, stand the ruins of Stur Parliament Church. The 32 Parliament churches in Scotland are also known as Telford Kirks, named after Thomas Telford, a well-known Scottish civil engineer. The church is a standard design for which communities without a church received a £1,500 grant at the beginning of the 19th century. Did you know that there are more sheep than people in Scotland? There are almost 7 million sheep compared to 5.5 million people. We now come to Clashnessie, a small community of farmers who cultivate leased land known as crofters. Since 1886, it has been guaranteed by law that leased land and farms can be passed on within the family if a reasonable rent is paid and the land is cultivated. The law is monitored by a regulatory authority that mediates between landlords and crofters and sets the rent. Since 1976, crofters have been able to purchase the land at 15 times the lease price. Today, the village consists of only 19 houses. There used to be a pub, a post office and a shop here. But one thing has not been lost, and that is the beautiful beach. We park the GS at the side of the road in a rocky bay and explore the large sandy beach. Clashnessie Bay is famous for its mild microclimate, which is due to its proximity to the Gulf Stream in the Atlantic Ocean. The water looks very inviting, but at the end of May it is far too cold for a quick dip. Behind Clashnessie Beach, we drive along the coast for a while on beautiful but very narrow roads. When watching the video, you may be surprised at the low speed of sometimes less than 20 miles per hour. But it is precisely the blind bends that force you to slow down again and again, so as not to be flattened by an oncoming motorhome. After a while, we arrive at Drumbeck Viewpoint in the picturesque region of Lerk. This viewpoint offers a breathtaking panoramic view of the surrounding hills and coastline. The tiny hamlet of Dunnet lies about 2 miles southeast of Drumbeck on Loch Nett. The name of the village is thought to derive from Gaelic and means something like the nest, presumably referring to the boats in Loch Nett harbour. Passing Loch Nett, we head towards the Queenac mountain range. Here there are 3 so-called corbets, mountains over 2,500 feet high, each separated by deep valleys. In contrast to Munros, which can also lie together on a ridge, the tour to the 3 peaks of Queenac is much more challenging. Loch Camborne, whose Gaelic name is unpronounceable for us, simply translates as White Stone Pile Lake. We're starting to get hungry and could do with a break, so the sign for the Cocoa Mountain Cafe and Chocolatery comes at just the right moment. TripAdvisor gives it 4 out of 5 points. After whetting our appetite so much, what can I say? It was a total flop. The place was dreary, the chocolates were just sweet and the toilet was out of order. We award 1 point because you could sit down. After the rather disappointing chocolate experience, a real highlight now awaits us, the so-called Smoo Cave. The name refers to a limestone cave east of Dunnet that can be accessed by boat. It is a tourist hotspot and even in the middle of the week there is a lot going on here. In the distance you can see the sea, which is connected to the cave by an 800-meter long fjord. A steep staircase leads down from the cliffs to sea level. At high tide, this area is submerged up to the cave itself. A rather rickety wooden bridge takes you closer to the large chamber that forms the entrance area of the cave. Here you can sign up for a guided tour of the 3 chambers, which is subject to a fee. Wearing protective helmets, you can then listen to the experts as they talk about their excavations. The cave was already been used by hunters 6,000 years ago. As there is no mobile phone reception down here, only cash is accepted, and this means that some visitors have to turn back. A covered wooden walkway and a tunnel led visitors to a wooden platform in the second chamber. It is 8 meters deep, filled up with water. But first, let's look up again into a huge hole through which in the 16th century a vagrant is said to have pushed people in order to murder them. In the second chamber we use a boat to visit the third chamber. Here, too, the view goes upwards to a sinkhole with a waterfall. Impressive. We stay by the water and pass Hiya Beach, a beautiful white sandy beach with rocky outcrops and crystal clear water. The name simply means foothills of the mountain. At Loch Eriboll we encounter several motorcycles coming towards us. Loch Eriboll is a huge inlet that extends 10 miles inland, filled with dark seawater. It is dark because the loch is also very deep. The icy bottom lies at a depth of 200 feet. Ocean-going ships find safe anchorage here. This is a circumstance that the British Navy has repeatedly taken advantage of. In May 1945, for example, 33 German submarines surrendered to the Allies here and were immediately demilitarized on site. Their ammunition and weapons were sunk here. The submarines themselves were sunk in Operation Deadlight in the Atlantic north of Ireland. Spianade, the mountain we have been heading towards for some time now, is the northernmost peak in Great Britain at 2,500 feet and offers a unique view of the north coast, if you make it to the top, that is. We are still traveling around Loch Eriboll and are driving through a private estate covering 18,000 hectares, Eriboll Estate. It belongs to a Danish clothing entrepreneur who invested a six-figure sum in restoring the local church. The sacristy has been renovated, new stained glass windows installed and electricity and heating laid. A plaque on the church commemorates the fallen soldiers of HMS Hood, a large warship that was anchored in Loch Eriboll in 1934 and later sunk by the German warship Bismarck. Of the 1,418 crew members on board, only 3 survived. On the left-hand side is a small peninsula on Loch Eriboll, on which there are 4 old lime kilns. In the 19th century, limestone from the nearby quarry was processed into quicklime in the Ardmair lime kilns. Quicklime is used in building materials such as plaster. The impressive causeway across the Kyle of Tong, which we are about to drive across, offers breathtaking views over the Kyle and the mountains beyond. Behind the Kyle of Tong bridge and in the middle of the causeway over the Kyle of Tong sea lock, 2 parking spaces have been specially built so that, with a bit of luck, you can watch ospreys hunting. The bridge and the more than 2 miles long causeway were only built in 1971. Before that, you either had to take a small ferry or drive along very narrow roads. To our left is Coolbeckie Beach with its unique view of the Rabbit Islands and the Orkneys. The pure white sandy beach is more reminiscent of a South Sea paradise and yet is often deserted. The turquoise water is very popular with surfers and nature lovers alike. The community of Coolbeckie is so small that you can't even find information about the number of inhabitants on the internet. We take a big leap forward in time and visit now Thurso, the northernmost town on the Scottish mainland, a good 500 miles away from London. The town was founded by Vikings around the year 1000 AD, and until the 18th century, Thurso was an important port for traffic in the North Sea. The construction of a nuclear reactor 9 miles west of Thurso caused a population boom that lasted until its decommissioning in 1977. Today, approximately 8,000 people live here. Many tourists use the town as a starting point for their ferry trip to the Orkney Islands. Jet wash, a rare but good opportunity to clean the bike again. After a long day, we arrive at our hotel in Dunnet in glorious weather. The Northern Sands Hotel is very well equipped and we can highly recommend it. If you enjoyed spending the day with us, we would be delighted if you would like the video and subscribe to the channel. See you soon for day 8 of our Scotland tour.